What if I told you that Germany, France, the Netherlands, Spain, and Italy, which are the strongest economies in Europe, have already made a choice that could change the way banks work all over the world? Would it surprise you to learn that this decision was made behind closed doors without a vote being held across the whole of the European Union? And it has to do with a single digital asset called XRP. The idea you have is not at all true. There is proof of this in documents that were illegally obtained from private talks and feasibility studies. So we're going to get rid of everything today. All parts of this system depend on them, from the expected price of 100,000 for XRP, the European Liquidity Compact. First, let's talk about what this agreement is all about. These 5 countries signed the European Liquidity Compact, which is both a financial treaty and a strategic partnership. They agreed to work together as they move into a new age of settlement infrastructure. The deal spells out a 5-year plan to completely change how their central banks handle payments, moving money between banks, sending national bonds, and sending money across borders. They chose to use the XRP ledger instead of starting from scratch because they didn't want to start from scratch. The XRP ledger is a separate network that is based on open source and has been used before. They are not only adding to it, but their whole plan to make the state more liquid is based on as well. How on earth could they do that? This answer is not only easy to understand, but also very smart, especially since there's already a better form, the one they have on. They don't want to make the same mistake twice. It is fair, quick, uses very little power, and is in line with ISO 2022. XRP is certainly a coin. There is no link between it and any one country business goal or government goal. The fact that it is fair makes it a great choice for countries that want to keep control of the technology without giving that control to another country. Being quick is important, but it's not the only thing. As part of the compact, a feasibility study was done by economic boards and blockchain professionals from all 5 countries. With the help of models, different options for payment speed, liquidity, and risk tolerance were looked into for this project. Everyone could see what happened in the end. The price of XRP must stay at 100 Valen per coin so that the system that is based on it can work properly. No one can guess what the idea is. It's not an easy shot yet because this is the value that the system needs to be able to handle daily amounts of money worth trillions of dollars without any problems. This is a chance to talk about how many of those there are. There are tens of trillions worth of foreign bank transaction security settlements and business funds that go through the Eurozone every year. But in order for XRP to be a bridge for all coins, the market needs to be very big so that prices don't change too quickly. In contrast, there are only 100 billion XRP in circulation, and a big chunk of that amount is either lost or locked up and put away. That means there's much room left to move. Because there are so many people who need money, the price of each ticket needs to go up. The reason for this is not the fuss, but because it's the right thing to do for the business. What is even more interesting, though, is how these countries are setting up their stores. Each country that takes part will add to a pooled XRP reserve vault that is kept in a safe place and controlled by the government. In addition, these funds are the main source of cash for the XRP, acts as the fuel for the payment system. When this happens in the real world, it means that all governments will start to gather XRP assets on purpose. The most likely ways for them to reach their goal are through over-the-counter methods, custodial arrangements, or even interbank consortium. The public will not know about these deals. They have no plans to move their shops. On the other hand, they will stop making them, which will put a lot more pressure on prices. And I believe it is very important to stress that the European Union is not currently working on this strategy. The European Central Bank and Brussels are both slower and more political. The European Liquidity Compact, on the other hand, is a separate project that does not go through any of these institutions. When it comes to something, these 5 countries know that it could take 10 years or even longer to get everyone on the continent to agree. These are the reasons they did what they did. They have gone off the rails in a very nice, quiet, and strong way. An area in the deal makes it possible for it to grow. If the XRP reserve system works well with the 5 countries that are already using it, other countries will be asked to join. Austria, Belgium, Portugal, and even Switzerland and Norway, which are not in the European Union, are among the countries that will be taking part. This has set off a chain of events. The first 5 are the most important right now. Once they have shown that XRP can meet the standards for financing sovereign-grade businesses, however, the rest of Europe and maybe even the rest of the world will do the same. What does this mean for the price of XRP? Because we're talking about this, it means that the ticket is almost official in a way that has never been done before. It will not happen when it comes to XRP. These things are getting a lot more important. This is a building block for a brand new financial network that the economy needs and that the government has allowed. XRP also can't be made in the same way that fiat coins can. How much the currency isn't going down right now because of any economic plans or central banks. Not only is there a small amount available, but states are also buying more and more of it because they see it as a necessity, not a choice. That being said, there are many people who think that XRP can't be worth 100,000. They will say it's just a matter of guesswork. That being said, this argument is based on the idea that retail sellers set the price. That's not true. What your friend bought of XRP for no clear reason is not the subject at hand. Basically, this is what it comes down to if whole countries decide to use XRP as the payment layer for their private businesses. In the words of the European Liquidity Compact, the full answer is positively yes. Think about what the method might lead to. in order to keep other world powers from doing the same. Europe needs to use XRP for large-scale payments. The United States of America, China, the Gulf countries will all need to say something. Some people might try to come up with alternatives. So that it stays compatible with the European banking systems, XRP can also be used by other people. There will always be more desire everywhere in the world. When the supply is limited to 100 billion and the demand is in the trillions, the most important thing is to do the math. This story is built on more than one level. Keep your information safe and stay safe in politics are two of them. XRP was the basis for what the 5 countries will be able to get around the problems that come with having centralized CBDCs. Most people don't want government coins that keep track of everything they buy. But they do want charges to go down, payments to be handled faster, and it to be easier to do business with other countries. XRP is a system that helps people assist states with the infrastructure they need and make sure that privacy supporters are happy. This is a real win for strategy in every way. Plans are already being made behind closed doors and put into action. There are partnerships being set up with companies that use Ripple right now, which you should know about. Some people say that companies that store blockchains are being bought out without anyone knowing. Changing the law system is another thing that is helping to change